All right, where we left off, I had collected reference and I had used it to create my scenery. 2 different fantasy landscape sketches, thumbnail sketches. One that's wider than it is tall, that's called landscape format. One that is taller than it is wide, that's called portrait format. These I marked in orange on my reference. And I made little notes about which ones to use where. Actually, maybe I have it reversed. No, the storm. Yes, these I marked in blue, these I marked in orange. I have to make a decision about which one I want to use. And I think I will use this one, the landscape version. All right, so now you're going to take your sketch and you have to choose which one you are going to build on top of. But first, make sure you have your sketch saved. So I'm going to save this just as a JPEG. If it's your screen grab and it's a PNG, that's fine. But make sure that you label it with your name, because this is something you are going to submit into PhotoBucket. So I'm going to call it Carl Fry Sketch Landscape, something like that, or just assignment 1. To the desktop, so Command D will navigate it automatically to the desktop as a JPEG or a PNG. I want it to be fewer than 5 megapixels. Hit F11, make sure it's there. There it is. Then immediately, so I don't need to stress out, I can open up Chrome, I can open up PhotoBucket using the links in the course or just going to photobucket.com. Because we're using Chrome and we stay logged in as a course, you should see the little spinning portrait there. And then you're logged in, you go to Library, and now for the first time we go into Assignments. We open up Assignments, we open up Assignment 1. We can see past student examples, which we've looked at, but now we want to upload right to the folder. So I'm going to upload my sketch. All of you will upload your sketch as part of this assignment. Once I see it uploaded, I'm going to click on it and label it, just like you would label your artwork in a gallery. And this will be called Carl 1, because we're going to be uploading 2 different images for this assignment, your sketch and then your finished work. So it'll be Carl 1 and Carl 2. Now the benefit of that as well is I've already acknowledged that I'm working on this project to my art director. So my art director, even if the project isn't due yet, sees that I'm making progress. And if I miss the deadline for whatever reason, the art director knows that I'm working towards it. All right. So now that we have this sketch, what do we do with it? We decide which one we're going to use. And we're going to crop to that. So never mind all of your sketches. You're going to use the crop tool. Find the rectangle that best encapsulates what you want for your finished design. And now that we've cropped it, we can flatten it. You probably won't need to flatten yours, but I have to flatten mine. And now we go to image size, and we see. So this is the image I want at the end, except I'm going to replace everything with my photo reference. But this is not the size I want. Especially if you're working from a screen grab of your sketchbook, it's going to be a very low resolution. It's going to be screen resolution. So I'm going to force my sketch to get a lot bigger to match the output size, the largest output size that we can accommodate in this lab. Because you always want your resolution to be slightly bigger than what you actually need. So the width, I'm going to have resample checked here. And my width, with the locking of the proportion, my width will be 19 inches by a height. The largest paper we can print on is 19 inches by 13 inches. So that's huge, right? If 19 feels a little bit big, and it is, I would recommend making it fit within 11 by 14 inches, because that's the standard art size that we'll print for and mat for. So you want it to fit within 11 by 14 inches. So if the height, if I put 14 there and the height was more than 11, then I would limit it by the height. But in the case of my rectangle, this is the better fit. And then our standard lab resolution is 350. That's 50 pixels per inch higher than any professional standard. And that's so you will have the option of enlarging it a little bit when printing, if that's appropriate, or cropping into it a little bit more. The reason we have to have resample checked is because we are asking the computer now to make up pixels. So it was only 8 megabytes, now it's going to be more like 36 megabytes. And that's how big your project should be. Okay. Now what's the problem with the computer making up information? Well, it will take each existing pixel and it will just make a little bubble around them, so you'll get slightly blurry edges, even on a computer-drawn lines. But that's no big deal, this is just our sketch. It's the reference we want to be able to match this scale. Next, this is our sketch. It's in the right scale now, but before we bring art onto it from our reference, it's like putting a puzzle together. We need space to arrange the different puzzle pieces. So we're going to build the canvas around this. And to make it clear where we are building it from and what our borders are, instead of growing the canvas with a white background as we have before, we're going to grow it with a middle gray background. So now, on the background layer, we say edit. Sorry, we don't say edit. We say image. We say canvas size. And we are going to grow the canvas to be 40 inches by 30 inches. 40 inches wide if it's landscape format, 40 inches tall if it's a portrait format design you're working on. And the extension color we're going to use is gray. So that's a change. It's going to grow from the center. So this is going to grow a lot of paper around our image. Right? I can hit Command 0 to fit it all into the screen. And that gives us a lot of tabletop to start putting our puzzle together. Now, I go to my reference. And I find my first piece of reference that I wanted to use, and I can look at my sketchbook or look at my sketch. You know, I might have this open in preview just to refer to. And I have the double arch right there. The notes are helpful. So I'm going to click the double arch. And I'm simply going to click it and drag it into the Photoshop file. This is one way. I could open it in Photoshop and then copy and paste it, do lots of things, but if I just click and drag and drop, it will come in as what's called a smart object. It will show me what the native resolution is, and I can see that that's plenty big enough. And so it automatically comes in what's called a placement box with this big X through it. So before I can do anything else, I have to place it by hitting return. But before I place it, I have the option of scaling it to be more appropriate. So I can move it over here. I know it fits right there. So I'm going to scale it by holding down Shift so it doesn't distort. So it's roughly the size I want. Right? And then I'm going to hit return. And that will place the file for me. I will use my move tool and move it out of the way for now. Now the problem is if I try to erase it, what will happen? It won't let me because it came in as a smart object. So before I want to make any of those alterations, I'll have to right click and rasterize them. But I'm going to do that all together when I brought them in. So I'll just leave it as a smart object for now. And now as we bring in our reference, I'm just going to bring in all the different blues. And then hit return to place them. Doesn't mean you'll use all of them. I don't want that bicycler, but I was thinking I might want that sun in this corner. And you definitely don't want to shrink them smaller than they can be used. So you know when you open a puzzle and the first thing you look for are edge pieces, that's kind of what we're doing. We're just organizing our pieces so that we can see them all clearly. Because really the first thing before you can start putting it together is you have to make sure they're all turned over and facing the right way to see what your options are. I like how it shows you how large the original resolution is. This one was actually my smallest image. It's about 8 megapixels. And you see that it can't fit the whole expanse, but that's good. That means I really have to design my own sky. I can't just overly rely on any one source. So we can see that there's a lot. Oh, this is just a huge piece of reference. We can see that there's just a lot of file organization involved in our digital work so far. Knowing where to get stuff, knowing how to combine things, that matters. Right, just one more, this big rock. Now that is more than 5, and I might not end up using all of them. But these are the ones I sketched with in mind, the big rocks right there. That looks about right. Maybe make it just a little bit bigger before I place it. Okay. Now, since I've brought all of these in, I want to be able to modify these. And so one easy way to do that is to just batch select them. So hold down Shift and then select all these layers that I've brought in. Then right-click and say rasterize. And automatically it gets rid of the little smart layer icon, and they are all editable. I can start erasing away from them if I want to. But that's not going to be the most efficient way to work. So I'm going to show you the most efficient way to work. At this point, we've layered all of our reference and our sketch at the right scale, at printing scale, in one file. So now's a good time to save it, and save it as, it's no longer your sketch, this is your assignment. As a Photoshop file to the desktop. And now we're getting to pretty large file sizes. High resolution, lots of layers. This is where digital imaging happens. Once I see it on the desktop, I know I'm good to continue. This is close to 0.5 gig in size, just this one file. It's about 400 megabytes right now. So I want to make sure I don't have anything else open, like I can close preview now. Oh, except I want my sketch. So now I'll leave preview open. You don't want to have anything open you don't need. So I would say you probably need your web browser open for finding reference. You want Photoshop, and maybe you want preview, and that's about it. All right, what I like to do is work from the back to the front. Right? If you think of yourself as building a set behind, for a play, behind the actors, you start with the backdrop, right? So let me look at my sketch. And I can minimize my reference now. But if I look at my sketch, put this over in the corner, let me look at what the backdrop is. I have the open sky, tombstones, the sun. So this was the open sky. So I'm going to start with that. And so what I do is I use the move tool, and I have it on auto select layer so that I can just move that piece in. And then I'm going to adjust it with transform and fit it into my desired scale. Now I had a slightly tilted horizon line. So I'm going to keep that. So about right there.